Welcome to Ghana, Akwaba.
My dad
Ghana was a dream. To say I had an amazing time would be an understatement. I just can't put it into words. Everyone told me that I would enjoy my time there, but I don't think I could have imagined this level of fun, to be honest. And I barely did anything. I mean, I did stuff, which is why I had so much fun, but I'm just saying, I was told that I just barely scratched the surface. So I can't wait to go back. We did everything from city tours to museum tours to excursions, like everything. So I took this trip with my mother, and to make the most of this trip, we went with a tour company, which I normally don't do, but because this was just such a big trip in the sense that it was just so far away and I've never gone to the country before. I mean, there are places that I'll go and I'll do solo trips and discover it, but this just felt like such a big investment. I wanted to do it right. So we used a tour company, and they set us up with they did all the booking for everything, but they also set us up with a driver and a tour guide, and that really made a difference because let me tell you, driving in Ghana is no joke. I couldn't do it, that's for sure. And having a tour guide really helped us like maximize our time there, because not only was he able to show us to, you know, different places that we were scheduled to go, but even take us a little bit off the beaten path and show us little things that, you know, would make you really interested in coming back and seeing more. So, you know, shout out to KOREDE. Like, he is like the best tour guide ever. I'm gonna put his information down below. So Ghana is really developed. The infrastructure, real estate, we saw some houses, some mansions, and even just regular middle class homes is, I don't know, like they're grand. Like everything is big there. It's just grand, and it's a lot of space and a lot of house and a lot of green just everywhere, just beautiful. While we were in the airport, there were people who approached us asking us if we wanted to buy property there, and you know, we said, well, not now, but who knows, maybe sometime in the future, hopefully. And honestly, like just looking at how everything is now, I'm willing to bet that in a few years Ghana, particularly Accra, is gonna be like prime property. Like it's gonna be so expensive to buy property there. So one thing I loved about Ghana is that the culture is so rich, the history is rich. Everybody's so proud of their culture and where they come from and their history, and everybody knows their history. So it just gives you this really strong sense of pride from people that really resonates with you, especially as a Black person. Like it was just really amazing to observe. We stayed at the Movenpick Ambassador Hotel, which is a 5-star hotel. And from what we heard, a lot of dignitaries stayed there, a lot of diplomats, a lot of officials. And we were like, well, if it's good for them, it's good for us. The first day we got there, we arrived really early in the morning, and we were so tired because we had been traveling from the day before. We were prepared to pay for early check-in because we knew that by the time we got there it'd be really early, but the hotel was just so lovely in the sense that they comped us on the early check-in. We only had to pay for our breakfast, which, by the way, breakfast is included with your stay, but technically, because we were just being comped the early check-in and not necessarily have the room ready, we had to pay for our breakfast, which was completely fine. We went to dinner at Treehouse. Treehouse has a nice little vibe. There's music going. The ambiance is cute, but the food wasn't bad. I was just looking for a more authentic experience, and I don't think I really got that there. Day 2, we got up early and we went to the Kwame and Nkrumah Museum, which was just an experience, to say the least. Shout out to our tour guide. He knew his stuff. He was just going. You could ask him questions. You could, have follow-up questions. He was just ready. He was on point and a great storyteller. During the process, I found out a few interesting things. Egypt and Ghana are connected, and that's because the ruler of Egypt at the time had arranged for his daughter to be married to Kwame Nkrumah, who's the president of Ghana at the time. His purpose for doing this was because he believed in the unification of Africa and African nations. So him offering his daughter's hand in marriage to the president of Ghana was just his way of initiating that.
The marriage between Fatia and Kwame was political arranged marriage. It was arranged by His Excellency Gamal Abdel Nasser, who shared the same vision with Kwame of uniting Africa together. At the time, the Egyptians were part of the United Arab Emirates. The marriage was to unify the North African with the Sub-Saharan African together. So they got married and they had 3 children together. So the first son, fortunately, was named after the then president of Egypt, His Excellency Gamal Abdel Nasser. So the first son of Kwame Nkrumah to Madam Fatia is called Gamal Nkrumah, currently 65 years, a journalist in Egypt. The second one is called Samia Yaba Nkrumah. She's the only female among the children of Osaifo Dr. Kwame, and she's a politician in Ghana. She represents the DAP political party, and he was a member of parliament, but not anymore. And he was born on the 23rd of June, 1960. And the last one is called Sekou Nkrumah, born on 1st December, 1963. Named after His Excellency Ahmed Secretary of Guinea Conakry president, and all the children are still living, with the exemption of the first son, that Kwame had before marrying Madame Fatia, that unfortunately passed on the 30th of June 2024. And after Kwame's death too, Madame Fatia never married again. He was so much in love with her husband that he never married again until 2007 that he passed on. But on her sickbed, she made a wish to the government of Ghana that when she dies, her body should be very close to her husband. So after her death, her wish was granted and they moved the body from Egypt and gave her a Christian burial here. We have the tomb of her wife at the age of 75 years like
something else I observed while I was there and I really loved, the kids, they were so into history and culture and all of that. And I say this because we're at the museum and there's buses pulling up with kids and they are so excited to be there, and they're taking selfies, you know, next to his picture, which is an extension, of course, of what they're actually learning in school. But you know, it was really nice to see kids excited about history and excited about their history in particular. You know, that really does give you this great sense of how much these people love their culture and love their history and have this pride about who they are.
Louisa.
Kwame Nkrumah was the only man in history to serve as president in not one country but two. He was responsible for so many things. He is well revered in Ghana. He had met with several people from history that are really important. For example, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King, W.E.B. Du Bois, all of them, like all the greats. There was a car there that was gifted to Kwame Nkrumah by JFK. And that's because JFK also believed in the unification of African nations, which I found to be really, you know, interesting, I'll say. Not shocking, because, you know, we've heard the role he has played in history, so it's not completely shocking, but it was really interesting. After the museum, we went to the art market and we did drumming classes there, and that was just so much fun. First of all, there's nothing I did there that wasn't fun. So I'm gonna say that was so much fun. I'm gonna keep saying that throughout, but just know that there's nothing I did that I did not enjoy. They started out by playing us drums, like, you know, as a welcome, and it was really cool. The music was cool, and my mom, she's there like dancing, like, you know, doing her thing. And then afterwards they gave us drumming lessons, which was, you know, it was cool. It was fun, you know, like playing the drums, doing my little thing. So after that, we went to Buka, I think it's called Buka. I'm gonna put the name up, but we went to that restaurant for lunch, and it's kind of like a lunch slash dinner. It's like a late lunch, early dinner. And I say this for a couple of reasons. Like, first of all, like, breakfast was so much, so we didn't have lunch until late, and then lunch was so much that we ended up not wanting dinner. We just go back to the hotel and probably grab something light. But the food at Buka, I have to say, like, just like top notch. Like, when I talk about like the most authentic experience in terms of taste, food that we got there, that happened at Buka. And you know, to this day, like, that's my favorite restaurant there, in terms of the food. Like, I loved all the other places that we went. The food was good too at the other places that we went, but Buka just had that oomph in the flavor, you know. It like you tasted the culture in the flavor. So yeah, that was the most authentic experience. The food was really good. The atmosphere is good because they also have live music, and you know, the decor and the layout of the place is like just this really cool vibe. You know, you want to stay, you want to hang out there, you want to go to dinner or lunch with your friends and just hang out till late. Like, it gives you that kind of vibe. So you know, it's one of their most popular places, and it's, if you don't call ahead and make a reservation, even though it's a lunch and it's like, or dinner, and it's like elevated casual, like, or it's not quite casual, it's like really elevated casual. So even though it's elevated casual, you still have to make a reservation, because you can go there and be waiting for hours to get a seat. Luckily for us, the first time we went, we waited a little bit, not too long, but the second time we got there, and you know, luckily our tour guide, like, he has the connection, so we just went right in. Next day we got up early and we headed to Aurora Hills, and the first place we went to was the Aurora Botanical Gardens. I was the one that would be geeking out over plants and flowers and the different species and stuff like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a plant mom in my own right, but this was just something that was just so different and so interesting, in the sense that, you know, you saw the different plants and different medicinal uses for the plants.
Look at these plants climbing like snakes, the vine. Yeah. If you mistakenly cut this plant, there's some white stuff, liquid coming out. If it touches your mouth or it gets into your body will start swelling up like a balloon. If it happens that way, there is an antidote, a tree here that we will just give it to you to eat, and you'll be fine, you'll be coming back. If you don't know of the antidote, in an hour, something will block your throat and your heart will stop, will cease. So because we have the antidote, feel free. If you want to try.
We saw a tree that was like art, you know, essentially it was a tree, and then an artist like shaved out things into it and made it into like a piece of artwork essentially, and it was about life and you climbing up and you being pulled down, and who's in charge and who's not in charge, and the female part and the male part, and just everything in between. There was also a tree, I believe it's called the never dying tree or 1,000-year-old tree or something. Just whatever it was, that tree was there forever. And essentially it grows really, really tall. And so there is a old wives' tale which says if you touch the tree and you pray to God for something, or if you make a wish or something, that it's gonna come true. And so, you know, everybody went over and touched the tree and, you know, said their prayer and all of that. And I remember the guide saying, at the gardens, the guide, he was saying, if you pray for a baby, you get twins. And so I'm like, okay. There was this plant there that they used to cure malaria and a whole bunch of other illnesses, and they were using it a lot during COVID. And so we got an opportunity to try it, which I did, and that was just such a bad mistake for me personally. I mean, I wasn't hurt or anything, but it was just so nasty. There was another tree that we saw that was a fully standing tree, which I believe had leaves, and that tree was dead.
Just go inside. Before.
Oh my goodness! Oh my God, look at that! There's nothing in here. And so we found out that there is a parasite that attaches itself to the tree and pretty much stays there and sucks the life out of the tree until there's nothing left. There was another tree where they use these leaves in movies to create the illusion of blood. So they use it to create fake blood, and he did a demonstration for us. So many different plants and trees and different species. They are really strict in terms of, you know, how they keep the grounds. The ecosystem has to be maintained a certain way. And so it was really interesting to learn all these things, you know, about how everything affects everything. You know, even the parasite, you know, I asked a question about, you know, if they try to avoid putting trees in that area, or you know how that works. And you know, one of the things he said is no, we believe in letting nature take its course. You know, in this forest that we have, it's about survival of the fittest, because there's some plants that can, you know, kill that parasite. And I'm like, oh wow, that's interesting. After we left the Botanical Gardens, we went to lunch at this place called, I'm gonna try to not butcher the name, it's called Podi Valley Resort. There's a restaurant there. It's also a hotel, but there's a restaurant there and a zoo. And I'm so mad because our tour guide that was with us, our personal tour guide, told us to go, that there was a zoo and we could go explore. But I thought it was just some little petting zoo or something like that. It wasn't until when we were leaving, he told me, he's like, no, they have zebras and, you know, monkeys and, you know, maybe a lion or so. And I'm like, what? I'm missing an opportunity to see a zebra. I've never seen a zebra in my entire life, and I was so mad. The vibe, oh my gosh, like Buka was the food, here was the vibe. It was like live music with a singer and a band and a lovely buffet with spreads of everything, like a variety of food. You know, the vibe was right, the food was right, the ambiance was right, like everything was just flowing. And this day was actually my mom's birthday, so she was there dancing, you know, they were serenading her. Like, this woman, I'm telling you, she is like a movie star. After we left the restaurant, we went to Asamina Falls or Asamina Falls. I'm not quite sure how it's pronounced. And that for me was the highlight of the day. Like, if you know me, I love water. Like, I'm just like, give me the water, show me the water, and I get very happy. I don't know, it's something about water that makes me feel better.
Louisa.
This is the biggest anthill I've ever seen in my life. I have so much more adventures to show you, so join me on the next episode to see more of what we did. In the meantime, please like and subscribe here, and please comment and let me know what you want to see. If you have any questions or anything, I'll do a separate video in terms of, you know, traveling there, what's required, maybe a little bit about flight information, things of that nature, you know, maybe what's the best time to travel. I'll do a separate video about that. So if you have any questions that you want to ask regarding, you know, just the trip overall, please post those questions in the comments. I'll read it and I'll respond. I really want to hear from you guys, because like I said, it's no fun if I'm just talking to the screen and nobody's there talking back to me. But until next time, happy traveling.